I was at my granddaughter's birthday party. I went to call her name to hand her a gift, and for 5 full seconds her name was just gone. It was a complete blank. In that moment, I felt a kind of terror I have never known.
That feeling of a terrifying blank. Or getting the news about a friend who was perfectly fine last Tuesday and in the hospital this Tuesday. We have all seen it happen. We have all felt that quiet fear that our health after 70 is a cliff we could fall off at any moment. Dr. Evans, I know you hear this exact fear from your patients every single day.
Absolutely, Sam. People think it is just bad luck or random aging when things suddenly go wrong. But medically speaking, the years between 70 and 79 are actually a highly predictable biological event. It is a vulnerable window we call the danger decade.
But what if I told you there is a way to protect yourself? In the next 25 minutes, we are going to explain exactly why this sudden drop-off happens. And we will reveal a surprising strategy from one of the longest-living populations on Earth. It is a simple daily habit to help you navigate these years safely and with confidence. And I promise it has absolutely nothing to do with grueling exercise. Robert, thank you so much for being brave enough to share your story with us today. Can you take us back to before that birthday party? What were the smaller signs that things were starting to change?
It was not an overnight thing. It was more like a slow erosion of my daily life. I remember waking up feeling fine, but by 3 in the afternoon, I was just completely wiped out. I would have to sit down in my chair and I just could not get back up. And it was not just the physical fatigue either. I have always loved doing the Sunday crossword puzzle to keep my mind sharp, but suddenly I would stare at the clues and my mind would just feel foggy.
Like the words were right there, but you just could not reach them.
Exactly. It felt like a wall had come down in my brain. It was so deeply frustrating. And then there was this new ache in my right knee. I used to walk a couple of miles every morning without even thinking about it. Suddenly I found myself looking out the window and second-guessing if I should even go outside.
You start losing faith in your own body to carry you.
You really do. And the hardest part was that I tried doing what everyone tells you to do. My doctor said to move more and eat more salads. So I tried to push through the pain. But honestly, pushing myself harder just made me feel even more exhausted and defeated.
That sounds incredibly isolating, Robert. So it is not necessarily one massive health scare at first. It is 100 small things that slowly steal your confidence day by day.
That is exactly how it felt, Sam. I just told myself that this must be what getting old feels like.
Let me bring you in here, Dr. Evans. Is Robert right about that? Is this just the normal process of getting old, or are we looking at something more serious?
Sam, what Robert is describing is absolutely not just a normal part of getting older. I hear this exact story from my patients all the time. They think they are just naturally slowing down. But medically speaking, we look at this very differently. What Robert was actually feeling was the sound of his body's reserve tank running on fumes.
A reserve tank? Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yes, exactly. These small signs, like the afternoon fatigue and the brain fog and the sudden aches, are not just random inconveniences. They are actually the final warning bells from your biology. They tell us that the entire system is being pushed dangerously close to its limit. And pushing someone in this depleted state into a grueling workout routine can actually backfire.
Wow, that is a completely different way to look at it. A reserve tank running completely empty. That is a terrifying but powerful image. Dr. Evans, what exactly is happening inside the body during our 70s that drains this tank so completely and so suddenly? So, Dr. Evans, let us go back to that reserve tank you just mentioned. What is actually happening inside our bodies when we hit our 70s to drain it so fast?
The simplest way to understand it is to look at how we live. For 70 years, your body has been accumulating a kind of biological debt. And in your 70s, 3 major bills suddenly come due all at once.
3 bills?
Yes, and the first one is what I call the organ bill. Think about your heart, or your kidneys, or your liver. These are hard-working machines that have been running 24 hours a day for over 25,000 days. By the time you reach 70, their functional reserve is mostly gone. So a small stressor that you would not have even noticed at 60 can now lead to a serious health crisis.
It is like driving a car for 70 years without ever doing a major tune-up. Eventually, parts just start snapping.
That is exactly right, Robert. And that brings us to the second bill, which is often the most dangerous one. The chronic disease bill. Most people by this age have slightly high blood pressure or maybe a little bit of high blood sugar.
Right, which we just brush off as normal aging.
Exactly. But that silent damage has been quietly hardening your arteries for a decade or more. Your blood vessels change from flexible hoses into old, brittle pipes. And the bill for that silent damage is usually a sudden heart event or a stroke out of nowhere.
Wait a minute, Dr. Evans. So all this time I was taking my blood pressure medicine every morning. I thought I was fine. I thought I was fixing the problem.
Those medications are absolutely crucial, Robert. They manage the immediate danger. And that is incredibly important, of course. But the underlying biological debt in the walls of your arteries was still growing. And that is the part that most conventional advice just completely misses.
That is such a heavy realization. It is not just about keeping the numbers on a blood test looking okay.
No, it is about the structural integrity of the body itself. Which leads to the third and final bill. The immune system bill.
Our body's defense system.
Exactly. Your body has an army that fights off infections and abnormal cells. But by your 70s, that army is getting older and the ranks are thinning out. A simple cold that you would shake off in a few days at 40 can suddenly become life-threatening pneumonia. Or a rogue cell can slip past the tired guards and grow into a serious problem.
So you are dealing with failing parts and rusty pipes and a tired army all at the exact same time.
That is exactly why we see the health data fall off a cliff between 70 and 79. The 3 mountains all crumble at once.
This is a little terrifying to hear, but it also makes so much logical sense. It brings clarity to something that just felt like a mystery. The obvious question then becomes, what do we actually do about it? Do we just have to hit the gym and exercise like a maniac to pay off this debt? So we have these 3 biological bills coming due. The logical next step for most of us is to try and fight back. Is the answer just more time on the treadmill? Do we just need to lift heavier weights at the gym to get our strength back?
I can tell you that is exactly what I tried to do. I thought if I just pushed through the fatigue, I would beat it. But honestly, it just broke me down even faster. I felt like I was doing more harm than good.
Robert, your experience is incredibly common and very telling. Pushing harder is what we have been told to do for 50 years. But trying to out-exercise this biological reality with extreme workouts can actually be counterproductive. It can be like flooring the gas pedal on a car that is already overheating. You are going to blow the engine.
Wow, that completely goes against everything we hear in the mainstream fitness world.
It does. And the real startling secret comes from a place you would never expect. A major study in a top medical journal looked at this recently. They mapped out the most physically active countries in the entire world. And then they also looked at the least active ones.
Let me guess, the people running marathons every day are living the longest.
That is exactly what you would think, Sam. But there was a massive twist in the data. They looked closely at one of the longest living populations on Earth, the Japanese. We all know they live incredibly long and healthy lives. But the data showed they are actually among the world's least physically active populations.
Wait a minute, are you saying they do not exercise?
More than 60% of them have no regular exercise routine at all. They have very low gym membership rates compared to Americans. Yet they live longer and have stunningly low rates of late-life cancer.
That is almost impossible to wrap my head around. We're constantly told that movement is medicine.
Movement is definitely good, but exhausting an older body is not. Here is the most fascinating part of the paradox. When researchers looked at older people in Tokyo, they found they were not superhumans. They actually have the same chronic diseases we do. Many of them have high blood pressure or osteoporosis.
So they are getting older and breaking down just like the rest of us.
Yes, their parts are wearing out too. But their rates of fatal heart attacks and severe strokes are significantly lower. They have mastered the art of living with these diseases without letting them become fatal. They change the game from the inside out.
That is incredibly hard to believe. If it is not intense exercise and gym sessions, then what on earth are they doing? What is their actual secret? Dr. Evans, you have completely overturned what we thought we knew. If these Japanese elders are not spending hours in the gym, what exactly is their secret?
The secret is actually incredibly simple, Sam. It is not about what they add to their day like a grueling workout routine. It is about what they subtly subtract from their plate. They practice something called hara hachi bu. It means eating only until you are 80% full.
80% full? How do you even measure that?
It is more of a feeling, Robert. It is the moment you feel like you are no longer hungry, but you could still easily eat more. That is when they put their chopsticks down.
So it is just portion control. Like a low-calorie diet?
It is so much more than just cutting calories, Sam. This is where the science gets really fascinating. When you stop eating at 80%, your body enters a very mild state of hunger. And that mild hunger triggers a Nobel Prize-winning biological process called autophagy.
Autophagy. What exactly does that do?
Think of autophagy as your cell's internal cleaning crew. When the body is not spending all its energy digesting a huge meal, it goes to work repairing itself. This cleaning crew goes around and finds damaged proteins and old cell parts and even precancerous cells. And it basically recycles them. It helps clear out the biological junk that contributes to aging.
My whole life, the goal was to eat until I was completely stuffed and satisfied. It was a sign of a good meal. Are you saying that feeling of being stuffed was actually preventing my body from healing itself?
Precisely, Robert. If you are constantly full, that cleaning crew never gets called to work. The junk just piles up inside your cells year after year. That is why the reserve tank empties out so fast.
That is just a huge paradigm shift. We always think we need to do more to be healthy. Take more supplements or do more workouts. But sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is just to stop a little sooner.
Exactly. It is not about deprivation. It is about giving your body the space it needs to maintain itself. And the beautiful thing is anyone can start doing this at their very next meal.
So, the first step is simply to practice that 80% rule. That is incredibly empowering. But I have to ask Dr. Evans, what about the food itself? Does it matter what kind of food we are eating for that 80%? What else can we learn from the Japanese way of eating? All right, so we have the 80% rule as our foundation. It is not just about eating less, but actually turning on our body's own cleaning crew. Dr. Evans, what else can we learn from the Japanese way of eating that makes such a difference?
Beyond the amount they eat, there are 4 simple shifts in what they eat. Think of these as 4 subtle upgrades to your daily life.
Let us go through them. What is the first one?
Number 1 is what I call an oil change for your arteries. In America, we eat a lot of red meat. But in Japan, they eat huge amounts of deep-sea fish like salmon and mackerel. These fish are packed with omega-3 fatty acids. You can think of omega-3s as a kind of natural lubricant for your blood vessels. They help keep those aging pipes flexible and reduce the inflammation that causes blockages. Just swapping out red meat for fish twice a week can make a profound difference.
I can do that. Fish twice a week seems very doable.
It is very doable, Robert. Now, number 2 is what I call the blood clot protector. The Japanese eat a lot of fermented soy, like miso soup or tofu. One specific dish called natto contains an enzyme that helps support healthy blood flow. It acts like a very subtle natural blood thinner.
That is fascinating. So it is actively protecting them against strokes and heart attacks.
Exactly. And the third upgrade is about how you cook. Cook with water, not oil. We love high heat frying in America. But when meat or starch hits those extreme temperatures, it creates compounds that are known carcinogens. The Japanese diet leans heavily on steaming and boiling and eating foods raw. It preserves the nutrients and cuts down the cancer risk dramatically.
Steaming instead of frying. That is another easy swap. What is the final one, Dr. Evans?
The final one is the rust protector. Drink unsweetened green tea every single day. Green tea is loaded with antioxidants called catechins. They are essentially an anti-rust treatment for your cells. They help prevent the cellular damage that leads to aging. But it must be unsweetened. Sugar just adds fuel to the fire of inflammation.
Fish instead of steak. Steamed instead of fried. And a cup of green tea. This does not feel like a punishing diet.
It is not, Robert. This is not about perfection or completely overhauling your life. It is about making small, consistent shifts that support your body's natural resilience. Of course, anyone watching should always talk to their own doctor before changing their routine. But these are gentle principles anyone can confidently discuss with their care team.
These are all so practical. It feels less like a strict diet and much more like a series of wise choices. But Dr. Evans' health is not just about what happens on our plates, right? What about our minds and our sense of purpose, especially after we retire?
You are absolutely right to bring that up, Sam. What happens in our minds is just as critical as what happens on our plates. In Okinawa, which is another famous longevity hotspot, they have a cultural concept called ikigai.
Ikigai. What does that translate to?
Roughly translated, it means a reason to wake up in the morning. It is your sense of purpose. And medically speaking, this is not just some nice philosophical idea. We now have hard research showing that loneliness and feeling irrelevant can be as inflammatory to the human body as smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
15 cigarettes a day just from feeling lonely?
Yes, the biological stress of isolation literally speeds up the aging process and wrecks your immune system.
I know exactly what you mean by that stress. After my wife passed away and I had already retired, I felt completely lost. I did not have a reason to get out of bed most days. And honestly, that is exactly when my health really started to slip.
The emotional toll manifested physically.
It absolutely did, but a few months ago I forced myself to join a local woodworking club, and it changed everything. It did not just give me something to do with my hands. People were expecting me to show up on Tuesdays. I was helping teach the newer guys. It gave me my reason to get up again. It gave me my ikigai.
That is so beautiful, Robert. So the real antidote to that sudden decline is not just fish and green tea. It is connection. It is purpose.
Exactly. You have to maintain your biological reserve through how you eat. But you have to maintain your spirit through how you live and who you connect with.
From a moment of sheer terror at a birthday party to a totally new understanding of our own biology. And a simple rule we can literally start tonight. Robert Dr. Evans, this has been truly life-changing. What we have learned today really changes everything. The years between 70 and 79 do not have to be a cliff you just fall off. They are a predictable biological passage. And once you understand the rules, you can actually become a skillful navigator of your own health. You do not have to fight your age in a battle you cannot win. You can finally start working with your body instead of against it. Dr. Evans, thank you for making the science so incredibly clear for all of us today.
It is my absolute pleasure, Sam. Taking away the mystery is always the first step to taking back control.
It really is. And Robert, I want to turn to you for our final thought. You have been so incredibly honest about that terrifying moment at your granddaughter's birthday party. What is the one thing you would say to someone watching right now who is feeling that exact same fear?
I would tell them that the fear they are feeling is completely real. You are not crazy or weak for feeling it. But I also want you to know it is absolutely not the end of your story. I spent so much time looking for a quick fix or pushing myself until my body just broke. But the real power is not in some miracle pill. And it is certainly not in exhausting yourself at the gym. The true power is in those small, quiet choices you make every single day. It is about giving your body the grace and the space it needs to heal itself.
Giving your body grace. I think that is a message we all deeply needed to hear today. Your journey to navigating this danger decade with true peace and confidence does not require a massive life overhaul. It can begin today. In fact, it can begin at your very next meal. With that one simple and profoundly powerful choice. The choice to simply put your fork down just one bite sooner. Thank you so much for welcoming us into your home and joining us on this journey today. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you next time.